Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 32. So we will continue from where we left off. And thus I travel constantly, singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a veena, which is charged with transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Krishna, right? A very special veena that that Narad Muni has specifically gifted to him by Lord Krishna. Text 33. Pragyata swaviryani tirthapada priya srava ahuta eva me shigram darshanam yati chetasi. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart as if called for, as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities. Purport. The absolute personality of Godhead is not different from its transcendental name, form, pastimes, and the sound vibrations thereof. As soon as a pure devotee engages himself in the pure devotional service of hearing, chanting, and remembering the name, fame, and activities of the Lord, at once he becomes visible to the transcendental eyes of the pure devotee by reflecting himself on the mirror of the heart by spiritual television. There's a new word for you, spiritual television. So, Krishna's name, Krishna's fame, Krishna's activities, his Leela, they are non different from him. So, as a devotee engages in these activities of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, uh, the Lord becomes visible to the devotee. The Lord makes himself available, right, on the spiritual television and reflection on the mirror of the heart. So some poetic usage of words. Therefore, a pure devotee who is related with the Lord in loving transcendental service can experience the presence of the Lord at every moment. It is a natural psychology in every individual case that a person likes to hear and enjoy his personal glories enumerated by others. That is a natural instinct. And the Lord, being also an individual personality like others, is not an exception to this psychology because psychological characteristics visible in the individual souls are but reflections of the same psychology in the absolute Lord. So, what we see in ourselves are actually things that, because Krishna is a father, so what is happening in Krishna happens also within us. I'll read that sentence again. That is a natural instinct. And the Lord, being also an individual personality like others, his individual personality like others, is not an exception to this psychology because psychological characteristics visible in the individual souls are but reflections of the same psychology, the absolute Lord. So when we have this doership mentality, this leadership mentality, this mentality of uh, love, compassion, kindness, whatever we see within ourselves, these are reflections of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna has everything, everything that we also, see and feel within our psychophysical nature. So, whether it's lust, whether it's greed, whether it's envy, whether it's pride, the envy part is different. And envy is something that you see very rarely in Krishna. For example, uh, I wouldn't say envy, it's kind of despise when Jarasandha and people like that who hurt Krishna's devotees, right? Krishna becomes very, like very angry towards them and wants to destroy them, like Nrsingadev. You know, we are talking about women abuse in Bengal, rape and things like that. So, child abuse. is equally bad and probably worse. And Prahlad Maharaj was a case of child abuse by his father, Hiranyakashipu, the most powerful man in the universe at that time. And Narsingadev came in, big teeth, big nails to rip apart. Like he could have just killed him with a knife or something. But he had to make it very, you know, the anger was so strong. Just like people are saying for this, the murderer of this rape victim, that he should be hanged in public. There should be terrible things that should be done to show other people. So people are not happy with him being sentenced or just dying a pleasant death. No, no death is pleasant, but still they want him to be gruesomely, you know uh, uh, killed by the state. So same way, Narsingadev didn't want to just give a heart attack to Hiranyakashipu and kill him, which he could have done. He made it exemplary, right? You do not mess with my devotees. So he ripped him apart, took out his intestines, put it around his neck like a garland, right? And he made a point that that's the kind of anger. So Krishna, so people think, many times I'm told, you're a devotee of Krishna, don't get angry, be calm, be pleasant. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is saying, go kill Arjuna. So that's the Krishna I worship. I don't know which Krishna your thought if you've read the Gita or not, but the Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, "Go kill them." Right? There is no question of non-violence or passive or anything of all of that crap. So it's very important to understand non-violence has its place. You're non-violent to those who can't protect themselves. Generally we see people are violent towards those who can't protect themselves or who are weaker section of society. I don't mean to say women are weaker, but then physically speaking, women and children are weaker. Older people are weaker, right? If you see in Bangladesh also, when they're going after the Hindu families, they are not going after the very rich Hindu families. In the very rich Hindu families, what they're doing is burning out the business, burning down the factory, right? But the poor people who can't protect themselves, they're taking their daughters and raping them, right? Because they're weak. So aggression, violence is generally the strong doing it to the weak, right? So in that case, the Kshatriyas are supposed to be the protectors from that happening. Kshatriya means to protect from harm. So they're supposed to protect the weaker sections of society from those who are aggressors towards that weaker section. And sometimes for protection, you need to use force. So violence is necessary, right? So all the things we see within ourselves, lust, greed, envy, pride, illusion, love, compassion, politeness, kindness, respect, all the good things, all of them are there in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So it's important to understand the way we think, we see the world, we should learn to also see that this is how Krishna thinks. For example, Krishna is saying exclusive devotion to me. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Don't we have that exclusive devotion idea towards our family members? Don't we want our spouse to be exclusively devoted to us? Don't we want our children to be, to a certain degree, exclusively devoted to us? Yes, absolutely. Where is that coming from? Krishna wants that, right? So if we kind of, explore ourselves and see how we think, how we feel, we can also see that's how Krishna thinks, right? Krishna feels uh, bad when we go to demigods. He's like those who are kamasya ritik jnana bhajata anna devata. Those whose intelligence is taken away by lust worship other demigods, right? And in other scriptures, other things are said. Very terrible things are said. Why? Krishna is saying, if you need help, I am enough to protect you. You don't have to go running here and there. I'm the most powerful. Have faith in me, right? Same way, a wife is expected that, the husband expects the wife that she will expect protection from me, not somebody else's husband, not somebody else somewhere, but from me, right? Where is it coming from? Coming from Krishna. So, the psychological aspects of human nature that we have inherited are from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, we have to also understand there are certain things that are different when in the spiritual world versus in the material world. For example, we have read the Bhagavad Gita. We have read about the inverted banyan tree, right? Where the reflective surface is the desire. So whatever is there in the spiritual world is the real banyan tree. And the reflection of the banyan tree is in the material world. So what is happening to the reflection? The reflection, you see everything opposite. What is the lowest thing in the spiritual world is the highest thing in the material world, right? And what is the lowest thing in the material world, are not ignored or not cared for, that's the highest thing. So, for example, uh, Krishna loving the gopis who are this love outside marriage. That's the highest thing in the spiritual world. Vipralambha bhav, right? Uh, love that is outside marriage. Now, in this material world, cheating on your spouse is a very, very bad thing. It is no scriptures validate that. But for Krishna, it's a very different thing. He's Krishna. He's the husband of all. We are all Prakriti. He's husband for all of us in one sense, right? So why should the gopis be singled out? He's the Lakshmipati. He is the husband of all the Lakshmis. He's the husband of all living entities in that way. Pati means Pita, Pati. This word means one who protects, one who predominates, one who provides. So Krishna is protecting, predominating, and providing for all of us. Hence, he is a Pati, he is the Pita, he is the Supreme, he's a protector for us. So not just the gopis. So that way, if we look at it, uh, Krishna having loving relationship with the gopis or the 16,108 wives or whoever else, right? Or Kubja, right? There is no one who's not Krishna's, right? We are all Krishna's. We are all Krishna's property in one sense. We are all Krishna's, Sakhis in one sense. So Krishna's full right upon us. That doesn't apply to us. We don't have full right upon anybody else's wife other than our own, right? So there's a nuance. But the point is, there's some things Krishna can do, and that is glorious. When we do, it's not very glorious because he's God, he can do it. We are not God, we can't do it, right? And there are many memes and sayings like, oh, when Krishna marries 60,000 wives, it's okay. When we marry two wives, it's bad. Why is life so different for us and him? Because he's God, right? And we are not. He can also lift Govardhan Hill. Can you lift Govardhan Hill? Right? A lot of people who are Lord Shiva's followers, they like to say, "Oh, Lord Shiva uh, drinks this and smokes that and whatnot." Right? Shivka, what do they say, prasad. But then Lord Shiva also drinks poison and keeps it in his throat. Right? Neelkantha. Can you do that? Can you take poison and drink and not be dead? Right? So we should not try to emulate personalities like Lord Krishna or Lord Shiva. We should follow what they say, right? We should follow their instructions. We should not imitate them because imitation is very dangerous. There used to be this person named Pondraka who used to imitate Krishna. He had two extra hands with the Sudarshan chakra going like this. Somehow I don't know if it was a battery operated motor or something, but he had Sudarshan chakra, four-armed form, and he would call himself Krishna. And Krishna got to know about it and he chopped him, chopped his hands off first, and then chopped him off. The point is, we should not imitate, or else we'll end up like Pondraka. We'll end up in trouble. We should not try to imitate God. What we can do is we can follow his instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita and his instructions given in the Shrimad Bhagavatam. So, very important to understand. Understanding ourselves is a great way to understanding God and how he thinks, how he feels, and we should be sensitive of how we treat him and how we treat. Many times in your household, you will see people are making sumptuous meals for themselves, but when it comes to offering bhoga to the Lord, they will be offering like some uh, sugar cubes, some mystery, things like that. And that's how do you think that makes Krishna feel, right? He's not just a statue; he's Krishna. He's a personality. But when you treat him like that, you're cooking wonderful meals for your family, and for Krishna, it's like, you know. So don't expect that reciprocation when you're treating him like that. He has the right to feel hurt. Uh, so of course, Krishna being who he is, he always sees the good, and he sees, oh, at least she's offering me sugar cubes, right? At least they're offering me some good. But uh, much better is when we offer what we eat. Before we eat as a family, we offer it to Krishna first. He eats everything, and if there's anything left behind, the remnants we take. That shows Krishna, you're the most important person in the household. You're the most important person in our life. So we are first offering to you. Only after you eat, then we will take your remnants. Right? What does it make Krishna feel? Yes. Right? I'm respected. I'm loved. I'm important in this family. I must protect this family. I must take care of them very nicely. Right? Krishna also feels the reciprocity. Because when you make Krishna the most important person in your family, Krishna also gets that responsibility that I must also take care of this family very nicely. Everybody should be happy and healthy in this family, should be protected from all harm, all evil, and everything. Right? Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tadaiva bhajamyaham. So it's important that we treat Krishna as family member. We understand his feelings. We care for his feelings. He has feelings, right? He's not just God and he's supposed to tolerate everything. He does tolerate everything, but it's our duty as evolved persons, evolved children of God, evolved devotees of God, that we uh, care for the things he's requesting. Exclusive devotion, right? Offering our respects to him. Madmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, right? You offer me, you think of me, madmana bhava madbhakto, you think of me in your mind. Madhyaji, offer me worship. Mam namaskuru, offer me obeisances, prostrated obeisances, right? And thus we become closer to him because we are listening to his instruction. We are following just like a good student, right? When somebody is teaching, there are maybe 5 or 10 students, but one student is actually following, right? One student actually repeats back what you have spoken. They remember it. Like many times Prayash does that, right? I appreciate very much. He will sometimes say something word for word, exactly how he has heard it. Makes me feel like, okay, good. He is listening, he's remembering it, and he's able to narrate it back. So as a teacher, I feel very happy that, okay, somebody is able to remember it and say it back. So same way, Krishna also feels happy that I've spoken this in the Bhagavad Gita. Somebody is listening and he's taking action. And that is rewarding to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that you're listening to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. You care to know about God and treat him the way he wants to be treated. The only difference is that the Lord is the greatest personality of all and absolute in all his affairs. If therefore the Lord is attracted by the pure devotees chanting of his glories, there is nothing astonishing. Since he is absolute, he can appear himself in the picture of his glorification. The two things being identical. Srila Narad chants the glorification of the Lord not for his personal benefit, but because the glorifications are identical with the Lord. Narad Muni penetrates into the presence of the Lord by the transcendental chanting. So, by chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, he is in the association of the Supreme Lord. Just like we are doing right now, we are reading from Bhagavatam, and thereby Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So thereby we are associating with Krishna. So every Friday we are associated with Krishna 1 hour a day, right? For some of us, it's 2 hours a day because some of you attend the morning class as well as the evening class. So that's wonderful. We get Krishna association. We were chanting the holy name. We're associating with Krishna 2 hours a day, 16 rounds, right? When we are eating Krishna Prasadam, 10 minutes, we're associating with Krishna. So Krishna is non-different, he's absolute. So thereby, his name, his fame, his form, his activities, they're non-different. So when we hear Krishna Leela, we're associating with Krishna. It's non-different, right? That's how Rukmini Devi fell in love with Krishna. She just heard the glories of Krishna. And just by that, she got association of Krishna. And that's through that association, she got purified, and natural attraction for Krishna was born in our heart. We see Valmiki Muni by chanting Bara 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 Bara, it became Rama 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 Rama, and by the holy name he got completely purified. A bandit, a dacoit, got purified, and he was able to completely put together the Ramayana, right? So that's how. So association matters. Why? Because through association, we get the good qualities of who we're associating with. Just like if we have good friends we associate with, then we get their good qualities. If we associate with bad friends, we get their bad qualities. If you associate with Krishna, we get Krishnaized. We become Krishna-like, right? One of the things I really appreciate about Krishna's way of speaking, A, it's very poetic. B, Krishna also uses certain names subtly, right? He uses certain subtle indications in his statements. Thereby, he is he narrates a lot of things without saying it. And Srimati Radharani is even subtler. I'll share something with you. Srimati Radharani, um, the way so in Vraj, out of the pastimes and everything, they are not allowed to interact. Krishna and Radharani are not allowed to interact freely in public because she is married to somebody, he's married, and whatnot. But the way she dresses, she actually tells Krishna a lot of things through her dresses. So, for example, uh, the gopi dots, they say, how many gopis will be with her tonight when they come to meet on the bank of Yamuna. If she has three dots here, it means Krishna is allowed to bring three of his cowherd boyfriends. If it's a one dot, it means only Madhumangal is supposed to be there. If it is no dots, it means Krishna, please come alone. Don't bring your friends with you, right? So like that, even Radharani's dressing sense, right? What she wears, what earrings she wears, right? What kind of sari she wears. If there's a peacock on her cheek that is drawn, if the peacocks looking towards each other, looking away from each other, they all have significant meanings, and Krishna, seeing them, understands her code and accordingly acts. So it's very important that we understand that subtlety, in communication and things like that, something we can learn because I don't know. For me, I feel like in any loving relationship, this has special significance. Anyway, going back to the particular verse here, uh, associating with the Lord, you become, you get the Lord's beautiful qualities, and thereby we are able to um become Krishnized. Of course, we don't become Krishna, but we become Krishnized. So by associating with Krishna, we get Krishna's qualities. By associating with Krishna's pure devotees, we get their qualities, which are again rubbed off of Krishna's qualities. So by doing Krishna conscious activities, we are basically becoming Krishna-like, and we are slowly, slowly cleaning off all the other things that are not very Krishna-like. Right? Of course, everything is within Krishna. Duality exists within Krishna, right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about himself in great ways, right? Where it is humility and pride simultaneously occurring, right? Humility because it's honest. Krishna is saying, "I am God." Krishna is saying, "Ability of man comes from me. Ability, the sun and the moon's effulgence comes from me. I'm the taste of water. I'm the moon amongst the stars, etc., etc." So, so Krishna is glorifying himself, and then he says, "It's a glimpse of my." Splendor. It's nothing. It's just a glimpse of my splendor. Now, why is it humble? Because it's actually true, and it is very little, even though sounds like a lot. It's nothing. It's like an insignificant spark of Krishna's splendor. And why is it pride? Because Krishna is bragging, right? Both simultaneously, you know happen within Krishna because he's God. But then for us, there are certain things we do, certain things we don't. Krishna steals butter. Krishna stealing butter is something that the gopis look forward to. They make butter so that Krishna might come and steal it. That is their heart's desire, right? We stealing from somebody's house, they're not looking forward to us coming and stealing their TV or their phone or whatever, right? They're not like, oh, this phone is here, this iPhone. Oh, I hope somebody comes and steals it. No, that's going to be a severe criminal activity. But when Krishna steals it, that's a different story. So, because these things both exist in Krishna, Krishna is God. That's why both can simultaneously exist, and it is splendid, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. For us, we are insignificantly small, so for us, it doesn't apply. Just like a child cannot do certain things an adult can do. But when an adult does it, it's normal. It's how adults work. So same way, there are certain things God can do, and there are certain things we can do. God can do everything. We can do some things. Other things we try to do like God, and we harm ourselves. Just to think about it, Krishna has 16,108 wives. If we just go for 16 wives, it's enough to bankrupt any person, right? Any normal person with who's not a Bill Gates or Elon Musk, will get bankrupt if they have 12 wives. Uh, of course, you can give examples of Bin Laden and those Saudi people and whatnot, but you get the point, right? So emulating Krishna, trying to be God, is not something we should do. It'll harm us. Rather, we should follow in his footsteps, follow what he asks us to do. So we chant his holy name, we glorify him, we follow. How do we know what to do? What he says, he tells us in Bhagavad Gita what to do. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, he gives us examples through his pure devotees. By watching them, we learn how to apply the Bhagavad Gita teachings in our life. Right? Because one thing is to know what Krishna is saying, surrender unto me. But then we see people like Narad Muni, we see Lord Brahma, we see Lord Shiva, we see Ambarish Maharaj, we see wonderful devotees like that, Queen Kunti, and we learn, this is how you surrender. This is how you exclusively take shelter of Krishna. This is how you put in practice the things Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Any questions so far? Okay. Etad dhi atura chittanam matra sparshes chaya muhu bhava sindhu plavo drishto hari charyanu varnanam. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat. The constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. I'll read it again. It is personally experienced by me, Narad Muni Singh, that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a more suitable boat. So those who are basically materialistic, who are constantly in fear, in anxiety, who are constantly in sense gratification mode, right? Even such people can get rid of their nescience or their anartha by being on a suitable boat. What is that boat? The boat is a constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. So, by constant chanting of Ramayana, by constant chanting of Krishna Leela, by constant chanting of, various Leelas of Narsingadev, Matsavatar, Kurmavatar, Hayagriva, right? By chanting these glories of the Supreme Lord, we are able to get over the nescience of materialistic life, where we're constantly trying to satisfy our senses and massively failing at it. But when we try to satisfy our senses through the legal process, the process of glorifying the Supreme Lord, our senses are fully satisfied, right? Nothing makes us happy more than when we are able to relish about how great is God. So one thing to know God is great, but then when we know more details about how great is God, then we are able to relish, right? And that is in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10. Krishna says that's how pure devotees of the Lord, they enjoy themselves by sharing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even the most terrible person, if they discuss Krishna pastimes, Krishna Leela, they can get over the cycle of birth and death. Yamadibhed yoga patay kama lobha hato muhu mukunda sevaya yadvad tathatmadha na samyate. It is true that by practicing restraint on the senses by the yoga system, one can get relief from the disturbances of desire and lust. But this is not sufficient to give satisfaction to the soul, for this satisfaction is derived from devotional service to the personality of Godhead. So we get some relief from desire, lust by practicing yoga, but it's not fully sufficient to the soul. It's not fully satisfying to the soul. What is truly satisfying is devotional service to the personality of Godhead. I remember my first time doing seva at New Seva Kunj Dham. In Vrindavan. You've all who've been to Vrindavan with me. We went to Seva Kunj Dham, right? So our ISKCON Chicago is called New Seva Kunj Dham. So one time my mentor, his wife, and I, we drove to temple, and Prabhuji said that you're going to do some service today. And I was like, what service? He's like, you're going to make puris for Krishna. You know, knowing knowledge, philosophy is one thing, but when you do seva, that philosophy crystallizes and it becomes true knowledge. So I would like you to do some service. Now, me being who I am, I'm very averse to physical work. I'm very lazy and yeah, let's just put it that way. So rolling the pin and making puris was not my cup of tea. I've never done it before, but I've seen others do it. So when I went to the temple, I had a little fever, and I was kind of using that as an excuse to not do this service. This is very early on, just so you know. My mentor was gently inspiring. No, okay, you have fever, it's okay, not a big deal. Just make one puri for Krishna, and then you go take rest, and we'll go back soon. I was staying with my mentor at that time in his home for the winter breaks. So I went. I made one puri. It was the shape of some country. I don't know. It was definitely not circle. It was some weird shape. But because I made it, the cook Vishnukarma Prabhu, he put it in the hot oil and became puri. And then I saw that puri actually went on the plate of Shishi Kishore Kishori. And I was like, whoa, 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 what just happened? I made something that Krishna is going to personally, you know, honor, like he's going to eat that. That's going on his plate. That is such great fortune. And I tell you, suddenly this wave of ecstasy just came from within. And I made another puri. Then I made another puri. None of them was circle by any stretch of the imagination. They were all different shapes and sizes, but somehow they were going in the hot oil, becoming fluffed up, going on Krishna's plate. And somehow my uh, this fever went away, the lethargy, the laziness went away, and I was addicted to making puris, and I was just making puris. Once Krishna's plate was full, I was making more puris for the devotees, and I was making puris and puris and puris and puris and puris and more puris. So it's like that, right? So unless you do bhakti, action, and do seva, you don't realize what it does. One moment you do it, it is a healthy addiction, like Prayash is saying. Yes, it's a healthy addiction, and you enjoy the whole aspect of serving Krishna is so attractive. And that's what this is all about. What we do in ISKCON, all these seva that we do, people sometimes say, "Oh, so much sacrifice you're doing for ISKCON." Actually, it's not sacrifice; it's an addiction. You as a devotee, you really don't have much besides service to Krishna. Krishna might take away a lot of things, but a devotee always prays to Krishna that, my dear Krishna, please don't take away my service to you. Right? Without that, what is there? Right? Don't take away my service to you. That's my request. And it's important to keep that in mind, that uh, there are ups and downs in life. There are difficulties, but somehow or other, hold on to that service, that sadhana that has been gifted to us by the disciplic succession, by the Guru Shishya Parampara. Because that is that is what we are meant to do. Like a warrior. A warrior, when he is in the battlefield and he's, dying, still, if he has any strength left, he will try to battle out, the enemy with whatever little bit of strength they have left. So same thing with us. The Russians, when Gorbachev was in power, he was in this process of taking our devotees and putting it in prison. And many of these devotees were tortured. They were vegetarians, and Russian prison didn't have vegetarian food. So all they had was bread. That's it, right? Bread and some vegetables, perhaps steamed vegetables, but there was hardly anything. And all the other inmates were very happy that they got their meat. And so the devotees, they couldn't chant, so they were taking the bread and they're making balls out of the bread, adding some water to the bread, tearing small pieces, making balls out of it, and putting strings, somehow finding string through some food or something, and making small beats, chanting beats of four beats, and then chanting on those beats, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, while they were being tortured in the prisons, while they were being injected by um, what are these things called? Electrolytes. They were being injected by electrolytes, and they were being electrocuted. So, the effect of electrocution is far more painful. Uh, while they were going through all that, whenever they would get a break, they would use those small beads they've made out of bread to chant on Krishna's holy name. They could have easily said, Krishna, why this? Why are you torturing us? No, their focus was, whatever situation it is, let us do our part. That is sadhana, chanting of the holy name, doing seva in whatever way we can. They were preaching in the prison, and they were making devotees in the prison. And there's a book about it, how these devotees who were at that time, is kind of nothing less than what Hitler's camp was, right? Used that situation to do their sadhana, continue their practices, continue their vows. They could have easily said, well, there's nothing, we'll just eat meat. No, they continued their practices, they continued their sadhana, they continued their austerities, and eventually, these are the people who are responsible for the explosive growth we see in Russia and Ukraine of Hare Krishna movement. Outside India, the highest density of ISKCON or Hare Krishna movement is in Russia and Ukraine, right? That is because uh, these devotees in the jail, they were planning, they were strategizing. They once they get out, how they're going to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, how they're going to, print the Bhagavad Gita in very, very small fonts in Russian and share it with common people. And their effort has led to what we see today. So when you go to Mayapur or Vrindavan, you will see, unlike any part of India, this is a rare thing. You will see that in Vrindavan and Mayapur, there is English, there is Hindi, and there's Russian, right? Any translation, any name of a shop, anything you see out there, there's Hindi, English, and Russian, because there's so many Russians who come, who stay, who become Vrajvasis and whatnot. And it's because of these devotees. So it's important to understand that no matter what situation we are in, we must continue our our part, which is to serve Krishna, to chant the holy name, to do our sadhana, and do our seva. And once you get in that mode, even in the worst situation, you will feel nourished, you will feel uplifted, you will feel loved. Because through seva, Krishna connects with us, he reciprocates with us. Now, we might think seva means in the temple. Seva is also taking care of our children. Seva is also working. Seva is also doing all the wonderful things that we do, which might seem like mundane to other people, but our purpose is service to Krishna, that I'm doing this work. The money I get, I use it for offering bhoga to the Lord, fixing the temple of the Lord. That is our home, right? Caring for Krishna's devotees, who Krishna has gifted me as wife, as children, as husband. etc. So when that is clear, all action, whether it's work, whether it's other things, it is very much aligned to bhakti, aligned to Krishna consciousness. And even the mundane things become pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada exemplified it, right? When the Vrindavan temple was being built, day and night there would be a construction sound. So at night, Prabhupada would be taking rest. Devotee would be like, Prabhupada should be asked them to stop so you can rest in, peacefully. Prabhupada would say, no, no, let them go on. That is honey to my ears because Krishna's temple has been built. That is not different from Harinam Sankirtan, right? Gara, 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 drill machines and things like that. To Srila Prabhupada was not different from the Harinam Sankirtan because Krishna's temple is being built. So when you see the world from that vantage point, everything changes. Vibhuti Mataji, please.
I have a lot of things to say और मैं
Please.
हिंदी में बोलूंगी ताकि जल्दी जल्दी बोल दूं. हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.
Regarding the food offered to the god, I am not able to concentrate on the class today because I have so many incidents to share. So first is, एक I know somebody, that lady used to eat non-veg and everything, and suddenly and she's following somebody. उन्होंने प्याज लहसुन का और नॉनवेज सब कुछ छोड़ दिया. अब उनके हस्बैंड तो प्याज लहसुन नहीं छोड़ते. तो व्हाट ही डू, वो कभी कहीं जाकर खाना खाना कोशिश करते हैं बिकॉज ही डू नॉट relish द फूड विच इज बीन सर्व बाय हिज वाइफ. तो जैसे कि हमें अपने बच्चों की सेवा करनी है, सबकी सेवा करनी है, तो शी इज नॉट टेकिंग केयर ऑफ हर हस्बैंड कि यही खाना खाओ प्याज लहसुन के बिना. बट ही इज not able to, but he's not convinced, and it is like I feel pity on that man. Another incident I want to share is कि I went to some place, तो वहां पर वो कृष्ण जी को मतलब वो छोटे कृष्ण होते हैं, बाल कृष्ण को लेकर आई थी. और वहां पर जो खाना था वो प्याज लहसुन वाला था. तो ये उनको सर्व कर रही थी, उनको पहले भोग लगा रही थी. मैंने कहा ये नहीं खाती. कहती है ये मेरा बच्चा है, मैंने इसे पाल के बड़ा करना है, मैं इसे जो खिलाऊंगी ये खाएंगे. मैंने कहा नहीं, ये गुस्सा हो जाएंगे, इनको ये टेस्टी नहीं लगता. कहती आदत पड़ जाएगी, मैं तो इन्हें जब से लाई हूं तब से प्याज लहसुन का खिला रही हूँ, ये मेरे प्यार में सब कुछ कर लेते हैं. दैट इज अनदर एस्पेक्ट ऑफ लुकिंग इनटू थिंग्स. नाउ बिकॉज I personally am not convinced leaving प्याज लहसुन, so we eat that. So मैं सुबह भगवान जी को बादाम और किशमिश चढ़ाती हूँ. लेकिन आपने तो आज मुझे टेंशन में डाल दिया कि मैं दूसरी चीजें खाती हूँ, भगवान जी को सिर्फ बादाम और किशमिश खिलाती हूँ. बीच में किशमिश खत्म हो गई, सो इट केम टू माई माइंड कि भगवान जी मुझे कह रहे हैं मुझे मीठा तो खिलाओ. मैंने कहा अभी अभी ऑर्डर करती हूँ, आ जाएगी. तो एक दो दिन मैंने बिना किशमिश के दिया. फिर कभी जल्दी में ऑफिस जाने से पहले मैं बादाम बिना छीले रखती हूँ, तो मुझे मैसेज मिलता है कि नहीं मुझे बादाम छील के दो पूरी रात भीगे में. तो आई एम वेरी पर्टिकुलर कि मुझे बादाम भी छीलने हैं, किशमिश भी जरूर रखनी है. बट मैं और तो कुछ नहीं खिलाती. कभी कुछ बिना प्याज लहसुन का बनता है तो ऑफर कर देती हूँ. योर व्यूज ऑन ऑल दिस व्हाट आई हैव सेड. हरे कृष्ण.
Mataji, you're doing the best you can, and Krishna accepts the love. That's all that is. He's भगवान ऐसा स्कोर नहीं रखते कि अच्छा विभूति आपका स्कोर है 20 out of 100. नहीं, भगवान सीज व्हाट यूर डूइंग एंड विथ योर सिचुएशन, आपका फैमिली का सिचुएशन, आपका जो फेथ का जो सिचुएशन है, आप मानते नहीं है कि अनियन गार्लिक ये वो ठीक है. अकॉर्डिंग टू योर फेथ यू आर डूइंग द बेस्ट यू कैन. आप भगवान को सिर्फ instead of giving him nuts, you're taking off the skin and you're भिगो के आप रख रहे हो and you're offering that. So that's wonderful. You're doing the best you can. And Krishna appreciates that. That there is nothing else to say there. It's wonderful. What else can I say?
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Right? I mean, there is Sudama who's offering Krishna chipped rice. What to speak of no onion, no garlic, bland food, this food, that food. He's offering chipped rice, and Krishna is eating, and he's giving away all his, Vaikuntha riches to Sudama. So Krishna's, our Vidura's wife is giving him banana peel. Krishna's eating banana peel. So Krishna sees the love with which what we are offering. So given your situation, whatever you are, you're a busy woman who's running a business, taking care of family, taking care of her son, husband, uh, you're doing the best you can. And it's nice if you can increase that as you grow in your bhakti. You increase that. You have one dish that is without onion garlic, and it's a Krishna, this is specifically for you, please have it. You make sweet dishes, perhaps, sweet rice or laddu or something. Krishna, this is for you, right? And Krishna appreciates that. He's happy that you made something special just because he's an important person in your life, right? And then he becomes the most important person in your life. Then your diet becomes according to his diet. That day will also come, but no rush, no push. Take your time. Uh, Slowly, slowly, as we get there, we'll get there. Krishna will walk us through gradually, gradually, slowly, slowly to the process. But regardless, enjoy the process and understand that Krishna is also enjoying being at your home, receiving your love. Okay, anything else? Akshat
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much.
Most welcome, Mataji. Akshat Prabhu is asking, observed a weird ink on Janmashtami. I went to temple and saw that some people were not allowed, non-devotees, to take darshan, only devotees allowed. I also could not go due to large crowd. I returned home and did puja at home. I don't know. That's not how it should be. It's unfortunate if that is the situation. Krishna is everyone's property, and everyone has a right to see the Supreme Lord. So I don't know why that was there, but yeah, it shouldn't be the case. Okay. Is there anything else? Not, we will continue with another verse. Okay. Sarvam tadidam akhyatam yat prishtoham tvayang nagaha janma karma rahasyam me bhavatas toshanam. O Vyasadeva, you are freed from all sins. Thus, I have explained my birth and activities for self-realization, as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also. So Narad Muni is telling his disciple, Vyasadeva, that you're freed from all sins. Thus, I have explained my birth and activities for self-realization, as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction. Suta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantriya Vinam Ranan Yayo Yadrachiko Munihi. Sutta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Srila Narad Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. So this kind of part ends here with Narad Muni instructing Vyasadeva to, with his life story and everything, and instructing him to glorify the Supreme Lord, to serve the Supreme Lord, and thus he leaves. So that's what sadhus do. Great personalities, they give transcendental knowledge and then they leave. They don't stay in one place for too long. They're not attached to staying in places. They move on from place to place, giving Krishna bhakti to as many people as possible. Aho devarshir dhanyoyam yat kirtim sarn sharn gadhavanaha gayan madyan idam tantriya ramyati aturam jagat. All glory and success to Srila Narad Muni, because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead. And so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe. So we glorify the supreme devotee of the Lord, most glorious devotee of the Lord, Narad Muni, who glorifies the Lord. So this is a transcendental competition, right? The devotees glorify the Lord, and the Lord, you know, enjoys when other devotees glorify those devotees who are glorifying the Lord. And this is how Krishna reciprocates, because he indeed, like I was appreciating that uh, Srila Prabhupada, so many countries, so many places, Srila Prabhupada is glorified so many years after he's gone from this planet. He's so present in our lives through his purports, through his recordings, through his lectures, through his books, through his pictures, his temples. Prabhupada is so alive every day. He's such an important part of our lives, even after 50 years, 50, 60 years of leaving the planet. So that's a legacy. That's a true legacy, right? That's the true legacy, and that's what Krishna does. The one who glorifies the Lord, Srila Prabhupada has opened up ISKCON to glorify Lord for a very, very long time, and Krishna in turn takes the challenges like, you want to glorify me, huh? Let me make sure you get glorified for millennia after millennia, right? So that's what Krishna is doing. He's taking up the challenge. Prabhupada is glorifying Krishna, and Krishna is glorifying Prabhupada through devotees, thousands and thousands, millions of devotees around the world. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, 6th chapter of Shrimad Bhagavatam, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasa. So we will also end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much, and we will move on to the next chapter, chapter 7, from the next class. Hare Krishna, and have a wonderful
Hare
night,
Krishna.
wonderful week. See you next Friday. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.